Hey YouTubers and fellow train lovers. My presentation today, I'm going to start it out with thanking all my subscribers. I had no idea that I had over 900 subscriptions. And a friend of mine just informed me, and I went to the page and went, well, that's cool. You know, I never kept track. There was no reason for it. I love you all and I appreciate you all, but I wasn't trying to break any records. I just wanted to share my hobby, and I wanted as many people all over the world to see these beautiful trains and get a chance to love them as much as I do. And what we're looking at right now is an Alaskan Railroad number 614 NW2 switcher. And I've never been particularly fond of the NW2 switchers that were made after 1951 because I found them rather plain. I have one of the made in 1950. It's a 6220, got lots of chrome handrails, chrome horn, a bell, and a radio antenna on the front. Extra, it's a Santa Fe, as you can see, and the nice AT and SF decal up top. And in the front it says made by Lionel and General Electric, and very small decal. Pardon me, not General Electric, General Motors. It's GM. So let's go back, and that's my absolute favorite NW2 switcher because of the it's extremely heavy. It's got two-axle magnetraction on the rear truck. Now on this, they went cheap and gave you two dummy couplers, and they put a two-position E unit with a switch over on the other side, top of the hood, on the other side of the dynamic braking system. And I don't have any problem with that because I don't have any dead spots on my tracks. So it's not going to be barreling down the track, hitting a dead spot, and then switching into reverse instead of neutral. So it's not a problem for me, but I don't think two-position E units were a great idea for Lionel to go to. And now you're hearing from a Marks guy. Marks always had two-position E units, and I always wish they'd had a neutral. But I love the looks of Marks, so that's why I'm a Marks collector as well. Now, what's really good about this, besides the incredible looks of this NW2 with the dynamic braking system on the hood and in front of the cab, is the wonderful colors, the yellow and the blue, the Eskimo and his parka on the side of the cab over the number 614 waving, and the fact that it has magnetraction, and the magnetraction is in the front of the unit where I believe magnetraction always should be, to hold the locomotive on the track on corners and to keep it from derailing. Now it's only single axle magnet traction, but it still does an incredibly good job, and it's a very strong puller. Now we'll go down to the catalog, and probably can't see it, but it says number 1611 027 4-car Alaskan freight, $25. And even I could afford that at 10. It'd take me a year to save it up, but I could afford that at 10 years old. But instead of using the what you will see here is a flat car with a trestle bridge on top. My trestle bridge disintegrated years ago. It was just too fragile, and of course it's plastic. This doesn't look like it's focusing right. Come on. That looks better. I'm using an MTC 9758 Alaskan Railroad boxcar. And they made a 6464, which will cost $300 to $400 in post-war. But this MTC looks just as good. I'm not a collector. I'm not an investor in Lionel. And I'm an operator. And this is heavy enough, despite the what I would call inferior trucks of MTC. It holds to the track. I've never had any trouble with the couplers, and so I like it. Although I have a Sunco double dome tanker car, I'm using once again an MTC Alaskan Railroad 6308 tanker car, because I love the color and I love the Eskimo waving on top. Just my preference. And Lionel came out with this new gondola, which is Alaskan Railroad. I believe it's 6162, and you may say it's missing one canister. It only came with 3 canisters, and that's what it shows in the catalog. And then we've got our Alaskan Railroad 6027 caboose. And I should have mentioned the Alaskan Railroad gondola is post-war, and the caboose is post-war. And so they both have what I consider to be better trucks than the MPCs. So this is my Alaskan Railroad train. So we'll run around a few times. Should have mentioned that it has a working headlight in front, although it tends to flicker on this curb here. It's telling me to clean the tracks. Or maybe Bernie's telling me to clean the tracks. He's sitting here at the Lionel refreshment stand. seems to be totally impervious to my train. Running around once more, and I'm going to tell you my Lance Alaskan story. When I was 19 years old, I went up to Alaska. I did not tell my mother that I planned on hitchhiking all over, or my dad. They would have had a cow. And I said I want to go camping, and I want to take a bus from Anchorage up to Fairbanks. And so I was a bad boy. I hitchhiked all the way down to Kenai, and I met some of the nicest people that I will probably ever meet in my life. It seemed like everybody wanted to buy me lunch or dinner, and was concerned about me being out there by myself and hitchhiking. And I had my backpack and my tent and my sleeping bag, and I felt quite safe, particularly when I found out how nice the people were. And after going up to Fairbanks and coming down, back down to Anchorage. I got picked up by a bunch of hippies in a hippie bus, an old VW van, and I can still remember we would climb hills, and it had about a 40-some horsepower motor in the back, and you would get to halfway up the hill, and most of us would have to get out and hike up the hill as the guy would drive the bus up to the top of the hill, and then we would climb in and go down the hill, and we did that probably a half a dozen times on the way to Fairbanks. And now you now at my age I would consider it rather inconvenient to have to do all that walking, but at the time it was an adventure and it was a lot of fun. But my favorite Alaskan story was just before I crossed the Canadian border. I found a nice campground with a store and showers. And I had taken my shower, gotten into my tent, and I would say it was probably 1 a.m, and something pushed its head into the front of my tent. And at first I thought it was a bear, and I was absolutely terrified. And then it looked like the face, I turned on my flashlight, and it looked like the face of a big cow. And I still didn't want a cow coming in my little tent and trampling me. So I pulled out my off mosquito repellent and sprayed it into the face of the animal coming into my tent. And it blew snot all over me and ran amok in the campground. It did not like that mosquito repellent. And I hear everybody in the campground yelling, "Moose! Moose! Moose!" And they weren't talking about hair gel. And I got out just on time to watch Bullwinkle run into the trees. So after I got the Bullwinkle snot off my face, I told people what had happened, and we all had a big laugh, and people were putting their tables and their pots and pans and things back together. And they said, "Well, this guy from California really knows how to deal with moose, he sprays them in the face with off mosquito repellent. I don't recommend doing that, but it's all I had, and it's all I could think of at the moment. But it worked. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here to tell this silly story. So we'll say goodbye to this wonderful Alaskan Railroad NW2 switcher. I noticed since I've overhauled it and put grease and oil all over the gears and everything that need to be lubricated, it's running much more quiet and much more smoothly. And I'm just in love with the darn thing. You could give me that new Lionel catalog and a gift certificate for $1,500 for one of their new trains, and I take this over at any time. These go for about, I looked in eBay, and they probably go for around $175 now, which is pretty good appreciation when you consider that the whole set sold for $25 and 1959 and 60. So we're gonna say goodbye to my little Eskimo. I haven't named him. I think I'll call him Ed the Eskimo. That's a good name for him. And goodbye to Big Lizard up on the hill. And once again, this has been a Big Lizard production. Thanks for watching, and thank you to my over 900 subscribers. Bye-bye.